Just because you now have a diagnosis, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly different. Things might change, but as long as you listen to your own body and set your limits that are tailored to yourself, you'll be okay. And also find a community. We are here and ready to welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
And yeah, it is definitely the best place to be, and to just know that you're not alone in that. And also listen to amazing podcasts like this one, You Muscular Dystrophy or Unbalanced.
Hi, I'm Leanne Watson. I'm so happy to have you here on our podcast talk show, You, Me and Muscular Dystrophy. I'll be asking 10 questions of each guest, exploring the humanity and experiences of living with MD. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to You, Me and Muscular Dystrophy. Our next guest, I was struck by her candour and thoughtfulness when I first saw one of her podcasts. Since then, I've watched another 2 or 3 now. Cerys Davage is a bright and compassionate young woman with a fun, infectious zest for community connection, learning and sharing. A woman who, while attending the recent International Limb Girdle Muscular Dystrophy conference in Florida, declared, "I love being disabled." You've got to love that in a woman. Cerys has LGMD like me, or we are perfect examples of how the stages and ages and symptoms can vary between people. But let's hear from Cerys. Welcome all the way from
Thank
Wales
you.
to Australia,
Yeah.
and then right across the world again.
I know we couldn't be further apart, but thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honour.
Thank you for your time. First of all, what does LGMD mean to you?
Okay, I think this meaning of LGMD has changed a lot over the years. I was diagnosed with it pre-symptomatic before I knew anything about it, before I really got to grasp the real concept of it. I was 7 years old when I was diagnosed. So I think the meaning of LGMD has ebbed and flowed as I've gotten to know it a bit better over the years. To me, LGMD is a condition that affects my muscles, not just the limb girdle muscles. I feel like it does affect other muscles like my grip in my hands and even my tongue. So
that is actually a definite trajectory. The proximal muscles that work from those other muscles.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say that is obviously the biggest definition for me, but now LGMD also means the whole community of people with LGMD as well. It means I can relate to other people in the community. It means I have people to turn to in my sometimes feeling alone in the condition. But it also means that I don't know what the future will look like because of the progression. So there's a lot of different things and a lot of good and bad feelings that come with it.
That's a great answer, because the degenerative neuromuscular condition it is, nothing is guaranteed. And so therefore our thought processes and our sort of psyche and everything changes, doesn't it? Like it, as you say, ebbs and flows, and we just never know. So it's that's really insightful and very wise. When you were young, and you are still young, but when you were younger, like not in your 20s, what did you imagine your grown-up life or your future would look like? And has this vision changed as MD has impacted you?
Okay, I would say when I was younger, I had big dreams that changed quite a lot. So first, I think I wanted to be a nurse and help other people because I spent a lot of my childhood in hospital, and I just wanted to be that person that was just there for other people, which I guess I still kind of am, but we'll get back to that. So that was my start kind of goal. And then my mum is a teacher. So eventually I wanted to become a teacher because I loved working with children and just watching them flourish. It's such a rewarding job. But then I moved on to my main dream, which was to be an actress. And I speak Welsh. Welsh is my first language, and I was determined to get into Welsh, whether it was theatre or film, something along those lines. But then I think my dreams were challenged when I went to university. I studied theatre in university in West Wales, in Aberystwyth. And yeah, I did really struggle with the concept of constantly having to adapt what everyone else could do, quote, normally, to adapt to myself. And I didn't like the fact that I was set apart from other people, and I constantly had to be like, actually, can we not do this actually when it comes to this
Mm,
practical stunt or whatever,
yes.
because I physically can't do it. And I would constantly feel like the inconvenience, which I know I'm not, but you just can't help but feel that way. And I know now that there are different types of theatre. There's disabled theatre. There's so many different avenues to go down. But I think at that time I had to really be real with myself, because what my disability was in university wasn't going to stay that way for the rest of my life. It was obviously going to get worse, and I've definitely progressed since university. I graduated 3 years ago. So I really had to challenge my perspective on what my future could look like. And I think then I fell in love with things like radio, presenting, and I thought, okay, well, I can just be maybe a TV presenter and I can just sit down and then, my voice won't be challenged. And then obviously I came across podcasting and my love for radio producing and interviewing other people. And I really found that connection and that kind of spark inside me when I interviewed other people. And this was just for like some youth radio station back at home in Cardiff. And I just loved it. And I knew that with my disability progressing, I won't lose my voice in the process. I could lose mobility in all my muscles, but my voice won't really be affected.
Hmm.
So I thought, okay, well, I've really got an avenue to explore down here because I could do a number of things. So I guess that's really changed my perspective. I think presenting is still kind of acting in a way,
Yes.
because you do put on some kind of facade in a way. You do your best to entertain
Very nice.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got your
Yeah,
interview voice.
yeah. And my family always say I've got a presenter voice.
You've got a
Sorry, what
lovely
was that?
voice. Yes. You've got a lovely voice, but very soft voice. But I'm just saying your interviewer
Yeah,
persona is what you bring to the table. Yeah. Yes. You do it
exactly.
well.
So, yeah, I think that's how it's kind of changed. But I think since doing my podcast, I am still helping other people in a way, kind of like being a nurse, nothing like being a nurse, actually. I'm just really downplaying what being a nurse actually means. And I'm not near smart enough to be a nurse or scientific enough. But it's just that kind of community aspect of wanting to be there for other people.
Yes, well, you do it well, and I can tell from this end, and you're probably definitely selling yourself short, saying you wouldn't be smart enough to be a nurse. But
Trust me.
well, you seem so at ease with your disability. On like face to face, on face value, you seem quite at ease. You have accepted. You seem to have accepted it gracefully, and don't have any shame towards it, which, no one should anyway. But that's a hard road to come, like it's a hard road to get there. And looking back now, what do you wish you knew when you were diagnosed? Is there anything that might have helped you get there quicker, or is there anything different from that you might have wished you'd known?
Well, thank you so much for that. That's really kind of you to say. I think accepting your disability is a whole journey, and, we all have our ups and downs with it. But I'd say when I first got diagnosed, obviously I was 7, I didn't actually know about it myself. I knew that there was something going on. I knew I had something to do with my muscles, but I didn't grasp the full concept of it until I was about 12 when I first started showing symptoms. And even then, it wasn't the full concept. It was just kind of, okay, I've got the name of the condition now and
Hmm.
kind of what it means. It means I'll maybe be in the future earlier than, a lot of older people, maybe by the time I'm like 40 or something.
Yeah, and back then that's
But
super old anyway. Back
yeah,
then,
yeah, right. Exactly. I was like, that's way in the future. I don't need to worry about that. But something looking back now, I wish I knew was just how quickly things could change, and all the activities I was doing at that age, I can't do anymore. And I just wish that I'd kind of taken that in a little bit more. There was no way of knowing when
mm,
I would stop be able to run or climb mountains, which I did when I was younger. But I just wish I'd kind of taken a second to be like, remember this, this is your childhood that you'll never get back, and activities that you won't be able to carry into your adulthood. So that's just one thing I wish I knew, I think. And I constantly think of that, like, oh, I really took this for granted. But I'm taking that lesson now and
Mhm.
trying not to take things that I can still do for granted, like walk. You know, I can't run
Mhm.
anymore and I grieve that sometimes, but I'm still grateful I'm able to walk. So I'm just trying to apply that to my life now because you never know.
What has been your most pivotal moment with all those
Uh,
changes?
yeah, I'd say a big one for me was when I left high school and went into university. I was independent for the first time. I wasn't in my little bubble of my closest friends and my family knowing about my condition. Not many people in school knew about it just because it wasn't very obvious.
Mm,
And I wasn't comfortable telling people other than just my really close friends who would help me when I fall down, you know, on the street or if I was too tired or something like that. So I hadn't really been very comfortable with being open about my condition. But when I went to uni, obviously, when you do go to college or whatever and you're away from your family and you make new friends, you are quite vulnerable and you have to kind of advocate for yourself because I knew if I didn't speak up about my disability, I would really, really struggle. And I didn't want to be in this kind of shell and not want to socialize because of it. And I'm a very sociable person, so that would have killed me.
mm,
Um, so I was kind of forced in a way to open up about my condition. And I think I was quite nervous about it because I didn't want it to define me. And
mm,
with my friends at school, they knew me pre-diagnosis. They knew me before I was really affected. So having this condition didn't really define me for them. But for these
mm.
new friends, I didn't want to be like, hey guys, I have a disability. I wanted to kind of ease them in and just not make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad I did because they got to know me better than I know myself. I'm a very stubborn person sometimes, and they would be great at, you know, if we were on a night out in a club together, they would help me up the stairs or they would say, Cerys, you've been dancing on your feet for way too long, please sit down. And I'd be, even though I'd be in so much pain, I'd be like, no, I want to dance, you know. So they would kind of ground me a bit. And also Aberystwyth, where I went to uni, is very hilly. There's a massive hill. So I would have friends that would give me lifts up the
Oh,
hill
lovely.
and back to campus. And, you know, I
Like,
kind of made a
like
deal with them. I have a blue badge, so you can park anywhere.
I thought for a minute there you might have meant piggyback lifts, up when you set up the hill. That would have been
That
fun.
would have been fun. That would have been interesting. No, I think those hills are way too big to attempt that. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do that to my friends. But no, lifts in a car.
How wonderful and
Yeah, so I'd say that
encouraging.
was a pivotal moment for me. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I had
okay.
to be open about it for the first time.
Good on you. And it's awful that you had to go through that at such a formative social, time of your life. That you had to sort of make that decision. Do I be brave and open up now, or do I just sort of be miserable for the rest of my life and not be as social as I'd like to be and that sort of thing? That isn't it wonderful that so many people just saw you for you and so effortlessly just assisted you in doing things that just took a little bit more effort. It's really heartening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really lovely.
Yeah, I think having that positive experience just helped push me towards being more open about it with other people.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's great. So where do you find your hope and joy?
My podcast, Unbalanced, and I'm just really in my element when I'm doing the podcast. I love talking. Everyone in my family or
Oh,
everyone in my life could say I talk for whales.
yeah.
And I love just meeting other people. I love interviewing people. I love getting to know about people's lives and how they still manage to live their best lives despite any kind of life barrier. I really just enjoy that kind of aspect of just meeting people that I never would have without my podcast. So I definitely find hope and joy there.
Right.
Also just hobbies that I know won't hold me back, like reading, singing. I love singing with my choir. That's a big thing. I'm a very musical person. I used to play the harp a lot and the piano growing up. I can't really do that anymore because, you kind of lose stamina, and I'm just not strong enough to do that as much now.
Yeah.
Now I teach piano lessons. So I spoke earlier about wanting to be a teacher. I've still got that aspect in my life, just a little bit different. I teach them online.
Beautiful.
So I find joy in that as well.
That's brilliant. You're a very multifaceted woman. And I guess part of your podcast, which we'll put in the show notes anyway, Unbalanced, very clever little logo that you've got there too. I really like that. That and your Instagram account, of which you've got many followers, that uh, would also, like that's also where I suppose your hope and joy is to connecting with those people on Instagram. Then finding, I guess, as you're saying, your family kind of thing, your LGMD family, and which led you to go to Florida this year for the is it a biannual LGMD conference or is it annual now?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it's
annual.
biannual at the moment. Yeah.
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 But that was in Florida, and that came. You think it's a very, a famous line like, "I love being disabled," and part of that was. Can you explain your reasoning for that exclamation?
Yeah, so I think that exclamation was a part of the vlog that I did for YouTube while I was out in Florida, which was just the most amazing time. And I reiterate again, the opportunities I've had from the podcast has just been absolutely amazing. And I definitely have a lot of joy in meeting other people at the conference. But this specific line was when I went to Disney World. I went with my boyfriend, Tristan, and we did Disney World in one day. And I had my wheelchair with me. If I hadn't brought it, I would not have survived. Tristan pushed me around 3 different parks in one day, and we were
Wow.
absolutely exhausted. We stayed till right at the very end for the 11 p.m. parade. And then we had to go back to the monorail to go back to the bus, back to the hotel. But obviously, when the park closes, everyone goes towards the monorail, and the
Yes.
queues were ridiculous to just queue for the monorail because it's just like kind of a shuttle train. So I was like, oh my goodness, we're not going to be home until like 3 a.m. It's going to be
Yes.
awful. But some security guy spotted me in a wheelchair and was like, oh, come on, this way, accessibility queue this way. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. So we'll just join a different queue. We went all the way up to the top and we boarded the next train. The security prioritized us to board the next train whilst we passed queues and queues and queues of people. And I was
Amazing.
like, this is just, it's times like these that I love being disabled. And that's the quote.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
They're the
they do
perks.
have their perks sometimes. I felt like an absolute queen.
Good. So you should. That's great, isn't it? So who couldn't you live without and why?
I would have to say Tristan, my boyfriend. We now live together and he just knows me so well by now. We've been dating for 6 years and he just knows me so well to the point where if I struggle a little bit, he knows and he can tell me to sit down. If I fall, he knows exactly how I like to be picked up. If I drop something, he's there to pick it up. He's like, don't you even bend down to try and attempt to pick that up. I will get
Right.
it for you. He is just, yeah, perfect in that way. He just knows me really well. We work really well together as a team. And I just, yeah, not to be dramatic, but I couldn't live without him. But also my family. My family have obviously gone through this with me. I have 2 younger sisters also with LGMD2I like me. I think it's just really nice to know that I'm not alone in that sense, even though we have very different symptoms. My parents really kind of guided us through this life with LGMD because they were the ones that found out about the condition. They were the ones that received the diagnosis, and I was so young I didn't really understand.
Yes.
So they made sure that we had the kind of the best childhood in a way and did things that they knew that we wouldn't be able to do before we even grasped that concept. My dad is really good at picking me up. My mum's really good at picking me up. They just know me really well. And I think, yeah, my family, for sure, I would say that, my life would be lost without them.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. And sometimes that question can be a bit tongue in cheek. Who couldn't you live without? Because we would hate to, but we could probably live, without certain people, but we would never want to, wouldn't we? When you've got that sort of support, you wouldn't want to. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
great to know that you've got that much support
Yeah.
around you, that much love. So what device or gadget makes your life easier? Is there one?
An obvious one, yeah. Well, an obvious one is a wheelchair. I have kind of gradually use the wheelchair more and more. And at the moment, it's more kind of days out where I know I'd have to stand or walk for a long time. So I take that out with me. The only thing is it's manual. So I constantly have to have someone around to push me. And
Yes.
my friends have been amazing at that and kind of getting used to pushing me and navigating all these drop curbs and different bumps in the road and things. So that I'd say for sure.
It's a great energy saver, isn't it? Having a wheelchair.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful.
for sure. I'm hoping to get an electric add-on to my wheelchair soon. So that means that I'll be more independent. But I think the main thing for me has been my adapted car. So I used to drive a manual car for a while, and then the doctors told me to stop driving because it was too dangerous because I was picking my legs up to put on the pedals, which
I
in an emergency is not great. So I stopped driving for a year and a half, and I graduated and I started working in Cardiff, and I had to use public transport, and that requires a lot of walking, and sometimes the elevators are broken at the train station. It was just a lot. And then I came across Motability, who are a company that do adapted cars for people with disabilities. And that's really just it's really saved me, to be honest. It's given me my independence and my freedom back. I drive everywhere, but I just
great.
drive with my hands now. So that is definitely a gadget that, yeah, it's all hand controls. My feet can just rest. I can wear whatever shoes I want. I can go in my slippers if I want to.
Ooh. Well, that's really great. I would put that down as a major device, because for freedom and independence, that's one thing I definitely miss is driving. And I do remember those days of picking my leg up. I just started doing it, and then I thought, no, this is crazy now. Can't do it. Like, I used to just rest especially if I was having a trip going up to my sister's. That was about a 2.5 hour drive. I'd sort of rest my right foot on the sort of just above, the accelerator and, the brake, just so I could sort of swivel if I could but that
Mm,
obviously is tiring doing that, and could cause an accident if I accidentally pressed, the brake or something. Yeah, so it gets a bit dangerous, doesn't it? So fabulous. That's great.
yeah.
So all in all, we're up to questions 9 and 10. What resources helped you navigate LGMD?
Well, again, this is more for when my parents received the diagnosis, but one thing that helped them was finding Kelly Brazo. And if you don't know who she is now the CEO of Cure LGMD2I, which was formerly known as the Samantha J. Brazo Foundation, that she started when her daughter Sammy was diagnosed with LGMD2I. And they're just an amazing resource for the community, the LGMD2I community, and just information about the disease. And Kelly really helped our family kind of navigate the early days of our condition. And yeah, they've just been amazing. I'd say the LGMD Awareness Foundation is a great source of research. Their Instagram, their social media, and their website as well, I find really useful.
Mm,
But yeah, just the community as well. I've learned so much from different people with LGMD, different subtypes. And I do find myself relating to people with different subtypes from me, but still like really similar symptoms
mm,
and life experiences. So being able to connect with people on Facebook groups or different group chats, and just generally online has just been a massive game changer for me to not only accept my condition, but to just find out a bit more about it and the ways that it works in different people.
yes, yeah. There's so many workarounds that we independently get that doctors or even occupational therapists might not know about, that we get from our community, isn't there? That's pretty amazing. Yeah, yeah, that's great. So finally, what is your advice? Although you have been very generous in advice throughout the interview, really, what is your advice to other people newly diagnosed?
My advice would be to listen to your body, and as soon as you get a diagnosis, it doesn't instantly change your body to you, because you know your body more than anyone else. You know how you function, you know what you can and can't do. And just because you now have a diagnosis, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly different. Things might change, but as long as you listen to your own body and set your limits that are tailored to yourself, you'll be okay. And also find a community. We are here and ready to welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
And yeah, it is definitely the best place to be, and to just know that you're not alone in that. and also listen to amazing podcasts like this one, You, Me and Muscular Dystrophy or Unbalanced.
Yes, that's right. There's many avenues, isn't there? And Instagram, there's some great Instagram accounts, including yours. Is yours called Unbalanced on Instagram, Cerys?
It's Unbalanced Podcast on Instagram. That's my kind of disability awareness kind of profile. And that's where I have a lot of connections with the LGMD community. But I also have my main Instagram, which is Cerys Davage. But that's just kind of more my personal life more than my podcast stuff.
Well, we'll put all the notes, all those links and things in the show notes, including the Kelly Brazo Foundation. Is that what it's called? The
The Cure LGMD 2I
Cure LGMD, yeah. Is that a Welsh-based one? Oh, I've seen the name. Or is that a US?
No, so that's in the US, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So they're based in the US. There's no Cure LGMD 2I charity in the UK.
No.
But maybe one day, who knows?
Yeah. There's one foundation now in Australia, LGMD, the Daniel Ferguson Foundation, I think.
Yes,
it's just generally LGMD. But yeah, as far as that goes, that's, I think, about it. I might be wrong. Please correct me, everybody, if I am. But it's fabulous, isn't it?
And I met Daniel.
Oh, you did at the conference?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
I
lovely.
did. I met him at the conference. Yeah, they're all amazing, and I love their accents, just like I love yours.
Well, I love yours too, isn't it? It's nice listening to it. Yeah, it's nice being so global, isn't it? Yes. Well,
yeah, it's nice to know that there's points everywhere, There's points of contact wherever you go.
Everywhere. That's right, exactly, yeah. And we're all pretty similar, aren't we? Wherever we are on the globe in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've been very generous with your time, Cerys, and I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you so much for having me. Just that what you're doing is amazing, and I can't wait to see your podcast flourish.
Thank you.
I love listening to your podcast, as even though you've only got a couple of episodes out already. It's just kind of giving me a bit of hope for the future as well. It's kind of like seeing into my own future and seeing what possibilities I can still have,
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for what you do.
You'll be doing it for the next 40 years, I'm sure. There'll be some new way of podcasting or exploring by then, I'm sure. All right. You take care, Cerys. Thank you again.
You too. Thank you so much.
This is Leanne. Thanks for your time in listening to this podcast, You, Me and Muscular Dystrophy. To continue to help our community, it would be so great if you could like, share, subscribe and or comment on the show. Your feedback is always appreciated, and if you would like to be a guest, please contact me through Instagram, Leanne's_wheel_life, or email leanne@leanneswheellife.com. Take care until we come together on the next episode of You, Me and Muscular Dystrophy.